Regular meeting of the Aurora Board of Education is called to order. Please rise for the pledge, and the flag's back there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Volleson, please call the roll.
Mr. Acom?
Here.
Mr. Zayas?
Here.
Mrs. Connor?
Here.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Here.
Mr. Sobolski?
Here.
All right, we'll start our meeting tonight with the resolution to recognize excellence. We have before us Exhibit A1, which is a resolution to recognize and congratulate. It's actually 5 teachers who wrote 4 grants. Those teachers are Jennifer Bindus, Nick Cucarola, Karen Sunderhaft, along with Lori Schofield Carter, and Jennifer Yonley. May I have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Mr. Volleson, please call the roll.
Mrs. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Sobolski?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Acom?
Yes.
Mr. Zayas?
Yes.
All right, and we have with us tonight Mr. Jim Montequilla, who's the teacher grant chairperson, and he'll come up and proceed.
We'll see what we can do with it. If I knock it off, help me out, okay? Well, thank you for inviting us this evening. I am Jim Montequilla, and I'm with the Portage County Retired Teachers Association. We're a group of over 300 retired educators, and we're still giving back to our kids in the county and to our teachers. You know, for many, many years, starting back in 1974, we began a program to give out scholarships to young people who are graduating from one of our schools that are going to be going to college to become teachers. Well, last year, we had a young man right from your school who got one of our $2,500 grants, Brandon Whitmer. We're very proud of Brandon, but that's not why I'm here tonight. I'm here tonight because 4 years ago, we began a new program, a teacher grant program. You know, teachers many times have ideas for new programs, but they don't have the funds to make it happen, and they die on the vine. So we began a program 4 years ago to give money to teachers through the workings of our people. By the way, our membership go to Neil UCOM to proctor tests to get money for all the programs that we have. And this year, we had 5 grants that are given out in the county. We have a committee that makes the selection. We don't look at where they're coming from. 4 of the 5 come from Aurora. One other one came from Field for this year. So we'd like to honor those teachers, not only recognizing them for what they've done, but tonight I also have $500 checks to go to your treasurer for them to be spent on their projects. We have one for Miss Jennifer Bindus from Leeton Elementary. She wanted to have a program for obtaining a phonics cart for her school. Nick Cucarola from the high school, Oculus headsets for his social studies classes. Karen Sunderhaft from Harmon Middle School has a school-wide project on water, study of water. And finally, Jen Yonley from Miller Elementary, a project for funding for a storyteller center for the kindergarten classes. So we're quite proud of everything they've done. I'd like to, if I could, present to each one of them a plaque from us giving out the grant. So if I could have, first of all, Jennifer Bindus. Nick Cucarola. Karen Sunderhoff.
And Lori Schofield Carter, I have to say.
And last but not least, Jen Yonley. Finally, I have the checks. These go to your treasurer, ready to be spent on the spot here. So if I could present them.
Thank you.
And if there's a chance I could get the recipients out here for a picture, I'd appreciate that if I could, please.
And we did get individual pictures of each. You got them, right?
Yes, I have them,
Someone got them.
and I can send those to you. And then when we break, we're going to break in about, a natural break is about 5 minutes, or?
Yeah, well, we'll listen to comments first.
Okay, in about 5 minutes, and then
We'll have a break.
we'll have a break. You'll be able to take those pictures.
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, teachers, for coming tonight. Get your award. All right, next we move into the public comment portion of the meeting. This period of the board meeting is allocated to hearing public comments on both agenda and non-agenda items. The board and administration do not respond at board meetings to questions from the audience, nor will we comment. Individuals wishing to comment should have signed up on the sheet placed at the entrance to the meeting. The public comment period is a maximum of 30 minutes, and each speaker will be limited to a total time of 3 minutes. The board treasurer will keep the time, and each person addressing the board is requested to provide his or her name upon being recognized by the chair, and the treasurer will keep those notes in the meeting minutes. Okay, so first on the list is Gail Zdanowitz. Please come up to the podium, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Gail Zdanowitz. I'm the mother of Madison Zdanowitz, a senior at Aurora High School. As of May of 2022 to the end of last year, there have been 27 school shootings that had occurred, not to mention the most recent date of December 14th, 2022, the eerie reminder of Sandy Hook. Due to my time limit today, I will not be able to give you the details of those lives that were lost, the amount of students that have been and continue to get counseled every single week, or the ingrained memories that those students will have to haunt them for the rest of their lives. Calls have never again rang out shootings at Sandy Hook Elementary in Parkland, Florida, and yet since the Parkland shooting in 2018, a period of just 4 years, 140 people have died and more than 500 have been injured in shootings, K through 12 schools. The question remains, what should we have noticed before these tragedies, or what was seen or heard and did nothing about it? What were the warning signs? What more could we have done? Should we have paid more attention? These are just a few of the warning signs we should all be looking for. Bullying, especially if it's targeted towards difference in race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation. Making direct threats towards a place, another person, or themselves. Bragging about excessive use of guns or weapons. Directly expressing a threat as a plan. They're just a few of the many scariest tweets regarding our daughter. Justification for these tweets, unbelievable. It was over a short-lived relationship, not of him, but a friend of his, that he was standing up for. The tweets were leaked the evening of Thursday, December 1st, Friday, when I called the school around 7 a.m. I left a message for Mr. Baker. It wasn't until around 10 a.m. did I receive a call back, and Mr. Baker stated that they had the entire feed of the tweets and were under review. It wasn't until around 1:30 did it move from the school premises. Why wasn't this individual held until further investigation? As we did not hear anything come Monday, we as a family decided to make a police report or statement. Since the tweets were leaked on Thursday evening and after the actions were taken, mentioned above on Friday, one would think that the SRO would have informed APD about the incidents over the weekend. As we filed our complaint report Monday evening, the sergeant stated that the police department had no report of the situation as of yet on record.
3 minutes.
All right, Jeff Austin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeffrey Austin, 115 Royal Oak Drive, Aurora. I am here tonight also in solidarity with the Zdanowitzes to make public comment about some deplorable behavior that I have found in the administration of this high school. I think we all know the person that we're talking about. His name is, I know that he's still a minor. Found out that the way that the administration has reacted to this, by allowing him to be back in this building, to be absolutely deplorable. And your administration has been complicit in that. Madam Chair, Me Too is a real thing. I have a daughter in your high school, and I'm here tonight to just make public comment about that. This man's basketball coach is a man. The athletic director is a man. Your principal is a man. Your superintendent is a man. Your resource officer is a man. The majority of this panel are men. And I think that you guys have really, really missed the point, gentlemen. And allowing that to happen, I don't care what your policies and procedures are. They need to change. But the real reason why I'm here tonight saying what I'm saying and expressing my opinion is because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to look my daughter in the eye. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you for those comments. Either Mr. Roberto or myself will be in touch with you both in the near future. All right, now we'll take a break for just a minute or two and get the pictures that you wanted, that Mr. Montequilla wanted.
Yep. Teachers, if you can head on outside. Probably the back corner is going to be our best shot. Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, we will now proceed with the approval of minutes. Bang the gavel. All right, we're going to take the minutes together because we each were at both meetings, I believe. We have the minutes from the special meeting of December 5th and then our regular meeting of December 19th. May I have a motion for approval?
So, second.
Are there any comments, edits, additions, questions about the minutes? All right, Mr. Volleson, please call the roll.
Mr. Cebulski?
Yes.
Mrs. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Zayas?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Akum?
Yes.
All right, and next we have the superintendent's report. It's my understanding that Dr. Milstich has yielded his time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we traded.
yeah, we tried.
So we'll start out, and Paul, if you don't mind, just because we had to connect over here technology-wise. But as you all know, January is Board Appreciation Month, so I wanted to be sure to take this opportunity to thank the board for their service. The Aurora City School District is able to Thank you, Dr. Milsitich. And thank you to all
you.
5 of our board members and to Kim for that great video. We really appreciate it. I will share that with you as well so that you can watch that in your leisure. But as we said, the notes and cards and everything from the kids are there, so enjoy reading those as well. So we
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Also, this month, Paul has yielded his time, as you had mentioned, to me so that I would be able to introduce you to our architectural team that we will be recommending to the board. Then Design Architecture, or TDA, rose to the top over 7 other architectural firms after 3 rounds of interviews that also included school tours to local high schools and elementary schools, which were made. And those buildings that we visited were recently designed by the various firms. We were very impressed with TDA's experience in building educational facilities and their vision for schools. I think you will be impressed with their professionalism and strong communication skills throughout this long journey. We are starting to begin. So please allow me to introduce and call up to the podium Chris Smith and his team. Chris is the principal in charge of the project at TDA. So please come on up, Chris.
Hello. Thank you for having us. I'm going to give you, my name's Chris Smith, I'm the president of TDA. I'm going to introduce, I'll let my team introduce themselves here in a second, but just before we begin, just a brief word about our company, just to familiarize yourself with us. So we were founded in 1951 as Bruce Houston Associates, renamed Then Design Architecture in 1989. We've worked in over 200 school districts in Ohio. We were the 3rd largest firm north of Columbus here recently in the latest rankings last year. And we are the largest firm in Ohio specializing in K-12 design. So with that, I just want to express how honored we are to be working with the Aurora City Schools. We value communities that value education, and this is clearly one of them. So we can't be more honored to be working with you. And this is absolutely our A team, as we call it, that we've assigned to Aurora City Schools. And with that, I'll let them introduce themselves and say a little word about themselves. Thank you.
Hello, board. Thank you for having us. Once again, my name is Ryan Caswell, and I'm a communications specialist at TDA. So after receiving my architectural degree some years back, my career kind of took a right-hand turn into narrative film and documentary making. So coming to TDA, I found ways to marry some of the communication aspects of sort of modern technology, whether that's videography or web design or photography, things like that, and marry that up with sort of the storytelling that's involved with developing some of these community facilities, K-12 and teaching specifically. So I really look forward to helping to bring some of those elements to your project as well and working alongside this team.
Good evening. My name's Cheryl Fisher. I'm an educational master planner here at TDA, and my direct role and responsibility will be to define the criteria, the scope, as well as the costs of the master plan options. My history goes back 23 years in master planning. In a previous life, I worked for about 15 years of that working as an assessor and master planner on behalf of the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. So I probably touched probably half the school districts in Ohio at some point in time over the last 23 years and been in and evaluated and developed scope for renovation and new construction projects for literally hundreds of schools. So with that, very pleased that we have the opportunity now to work with Aurora City Schools, and I think that the next few months will be a very exciting journey.
Good evening. I'm Claire Bank, and I am an architect at TDA and will be the educational design lead. So I'll work closely with you to understand your educational goals, customize the approach appropriate to your needs as a district. A little bit of my history. I've been at TDA for 11 years, and have done always schoolwork. Both my parents are educators, and I taught at Kent State, so I've grown up living and breathing education, and I'm excited to work with all of you.
Hello, my name's Scott Alleman. I'm an architect at TDA. I'll be the project manager. So once Cheryl has worked all the way through the master plan process, she'll turn it over to me. I'll take over from there and I'll lead the project team. I, like Claire, went to Kent State. I met my wife there. My little fun fact is we live in Reminderville in the Aurora Shores neighborhood, so I'm a next door neighbor. So I'm really excited to kick this project off. Thank you.
And one last thing is that I've personally had a lot of friends, coaches, teachers, educators that have left other districts to come to Aurora, and I haven't seen Mr. Abramovich in 15 years, I think, or as I know him, coach. So, so once again, that just says something that, you know, in the community of how many folks also value Aurora and come here, many that I respect. So thank you again very much.
Thank you again, Chris, and everyone for coming this evening. I'm passing down to the board a tentative timeline for the next couple months, just to give you an idea. But this is pre-Cheryl conversation, so she will, I'm sure, straighten us out in terms of some of our maybe ambitions in terms of what could be. But I did want to share that should you go forward with the approval for January, we're hoping to work with TDA in February and March to begin to get a basic design of an overall view of two potential schools, as you know, the K-3 building and the 9-12 high school, with the idea of, in April, visiting within the community and the staff to talk about, of those two designs, which one that they feel would be the most supported in the community. And then we're hoping by the end of April to come back to you with one of those two recommended buildings, so that in May we can then start the business of working with the community and the staff to develop whatever that building happens to be going forward. So I gave you a little short timeline there. And again, like I said, we'll be working closely with the team to adjust it accordingly, but that's just where we're at now.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for coming. We look forward to working with you as we strive to improve our students' educational environment and thereby offering them more opportunities for success and love of learning. So thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, and feel free to sneak out if you need to. Thank you again.
We'll let you know if we don't approve you. All right, Mr. Volleson, Treasurer's Report.
Thank you, Mrs. Mahalis. This evening, I have two resolutions for your consideration, and I'll start with the financial report for the month of December. And in December, our expenditures exceeded revenues by a little over $4 million, decreasing our general fund cash balance to a little over $11 million halfway through the fiscal year. Revenues are about 3% greater than projected, and expenditures about 1.5% greater. Not too much to say on the revenue side. This is a slow time of the year for revenues coming in, so we won't really see any larger revenues until February. So January is going to be pretty much the same. February we'll start our tax advances, and then monies will be coming into the district. A couple of things to note on the expenditure side for December. We paid our workers' compensation premium payment for the year, and this year was nearly $87,000. Last year was a little over $70,000, so it did go up a little bit as far as on our workers' comp costs. Also, December was a 3-pay month, so our payroll costs and benefit costs be higher than what you normally see. And this is one of those fiscal years which occurs every 6-7 years on our pay cycle. We'll have three-pay months, so we have an extra payroll period in the fiscal year. So payroll will be higher this year than normal, then it'll go down next year, because then you'll be back down to the normal 26 pay periods rather than 27. Also in December, we paid our insurances, the second half of them, our property insurance to the tune of about $58,000, and then also our liability insurance about $33,000. So we had two larger insurance payments to cover us for the remainder of the fiscal year. So thus far for the fiscal year, revenues are about $9,700 greater than projected, so pretty much right about where we felt we would be. And expenditures right now are about $142,000 greater, so we have an unfavorable variance of about $132,000 at 6 months into the fiscal year.
Okay. All right, Exhibit D1 is a resolution to approve financial statements and reports. Can I have a motion for approval?
Move.
Are there any comments or questions? Mr. Mr. Volleson, please call the roll.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mr. Zayas?
Yes.
Mrs. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Cebulski?
All right, Mr. Volleson.
And the second resolution is in advance, and this is from the general fund to the 551 fund, which is a federal fund. It's our limited, Title III Limited English Proficiency Fund. And actually, this money we get, it's federal funded, but we get it through the ESC since it's such a small grant. The state has the smaller grants run through the ESC to, I guess, cut down on their paperwork. So what happens is we make purchases through this grant or for this grant, and then we'll get reimbursed from the ESC at the end of the year. So we have to kind of front the money to the grant until we get reimbursed later on. And then obviously these dollars will be paid back to the general fund upon reimbursement.
Okay, Exhibit D2, resolution to approve appropriation amendments. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Chair? Okay. Any comments or questions? Mr. Volleson, please call the roll.
Mrs. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Cebulski? Yes. Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mr. Zayas?
Yes.
Okay, under new business, we have a resolution to accept gifts and contributions. We have an anonymous donation of $25,000 and a $3,300 contribution by the Penza family donated for an adapted stroller and a Firefly Scout-A-Ride. May I have a motion for approval?
Move.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
I just want to say, we're always grateful for the donations, not only for from the Penza family, the anonymous donation. This is a continued donation that we get year in and year out, and we're very appreciative of the contributors.
Yes. Thank you to both. Mr. Volleson, please call the roll.
Mrs. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Zayas?
Yes.
Mr. Cebulski?
All right, under personnel resolutions, I'd like to take the first one separately. Exhibit E1B1 is a resolution to accept resignations. Can I have a motion for approval, please?
Second.
Any comments or questions? I just want to thank George Snyder for his 24 years of service. He is retiring at the end of this school year. And not only to thank him for teaching social studies, but he was always the teacher that really cared about his kids, and he made a point to build relationships with them and to follow them after graduation, many of them, my own children included. So we will miss him. Wish him the best in his retirement. Mr. Volleson, please call the roll.
Mr. Zayas?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mrs. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Cebulski?
All right, without objection, I'll take the next 10 resolutions together. We all have one that was added from our packet that we received earlier in the week. Okay. Exhibit E1B2 is a resolution to employ licensed substitute teachers for this current school year. Exhibit E1B3 is a resolution to employ support staff substitutes for this current school year. Exhibit E1B4 is a resolution to approve the introductory appointment of support staff. Exhibit E1B5 is a resolution to award a supplemental contract to district personnel. Exhibit E1B6 is a resolution to award a supplemental pupil activity contract to non-district personnel. Exhibit E1B7 is a resolution to place an employee on a medical leave of absence. Exhibit E1B8 is a resolution to employ event staff workers for this current school year. Exhibit E1B9 is a resolution to employ support staff, a list of people there. Exhibit E1B10 is a resolution to award supplemental pupil activity contracts to non-district personnel. And Exhibit E1B11 is a resolution to ratify an agreement between the Aurora Board of Education and the Ohio Association of Public School Employees. May I have a motion for approval?
Moved.
Chair seconds. Are there any comments or questions? Mr. Volleson, please call the roll.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mr. Cebulski? Yes. Mr. Zayas?
Yes.
Mrs. Connor?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes. All resolutions are approved. Exhibit E1C is a resolution to approve summer academy fees. May I have a motion for approval?
Move.
Any comments or questions? Mr. Volleson, please call the roll.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mr. Zayas?
Yes.
Mrs. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Sabulski?
Exhibit E1D is a resolution to establish student fees. May I have a motion for approval? Chair seconds. Any comments or questions? Mr. Volleson, please call the roll.
Mrs. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Sabulski? Yes. Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mr. Zayas?
Yes.
Exhibit E1E is a resolution to approve the cost of sixth grade camp, and I see it went up $50. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Mr. Volleson, please call the roll.
Mrs. Connor?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Sabulski? Yes. Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mr. Zayas?
Yes.
All right, resolution is approved. Exhibit E1F is a resolution to approve pre-bond services agreement with TDA. May I have a motion for approval?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Thank you for bringing them in tonight so we could meet them. Mr. Volleson, please call the roll.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mrs. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Sabulski? Yes. Mr. Zayas?
Yes.
Okay, that resolution is approved. Are there any board items tonight? I see Mr. Maglianico here tonight. I just wanted to take the opportunity to congratulate you and your staff on the near-perfect score with the special education profile. Is that what it is that was posted on OD? And the board was made aware that we were dinged on one thing that is due more to a clerical error than a deficit in the services offered. So congratulations for that.
Thank you, I very much appreciate that, and it's people that are very anxious to make that happen, so thank you again.
Mike did file an appeal on that, so hopefully we'll get that clerical error fixed too.
I hope so. All right, may I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, meeting is adjourned.